All right, have a seat up on a lift. If you don't want a lift, you don't have to have one, but it's nice to have a lift. Helps release the inner groins. Cross your legs in the center of your shins, your feet beneath your knees. Ensure that your shoulders are over your hips so you're not leaning forward, not leaning back. Rest your hands gently on your thighs with your upper arms dangling by your sides. Begin the process of moving inward, allowing the thoughts that are swirling around in your head, allow them to move to the back bottom part of your brain. And give yourself permission to drop your awareness into your body, into the here and now. Find that even balance on your sits bones. Find the lengthening of the inner groins. So from the upper inner thighs, lengthen out through the inner knees. And from the upper inner thighs, lengthen back towards the lower abdomen. So the whole groin between the lower abdomen and the inner knee is lengthening. Like you're gently, kindly stretching an elastic band. Descend the flesh of the inner thighs and draw from the outer knees to the outer hips. Compact the hips together. And as you draw from the outer knees to the outer hips, as you compact the hips together, keep that lengthening, the opening of the inner thighs. So the outer legs are contracting, the inner thighs are lengthening. Now maintain that experience of the legs as you lengthen up through the side ribs. Find an evenness on the two sides. So notice which side lengthens first or more quickly or more, and see if you can even out the two sides of the torso. And from your tailbone, stack your vertebrae one by one on top of each other, all the way up through the cervical spine. Notice if you're pushing your front bottom ribs forward. Take your front bottom ribs towards the back body. That allows you to lengthen through the side ribs more. Allow the shoulders to release down away from the sides of your neck. Lengthen from your armpits through your inner elbows, what we sometimes call the groin of the arms. So we lengthen through the groin of the legs, we lengthen through the groin of the arms. Allow the elbows to descend downward as you bring your palms together, thumbs at your chest. Chin parallel to the floor. Broadening across the front of the chest, also broadening across the back chest. So from the center of the sternum, extend over the chest, out towards the shoulders moving away from each other. And from between the shoulder blades, also extend outward towards the shoulders, the back shoulders, become broader, wider. Allow your facial features to release, to relax as you rest your eyes into your cheekbones. Gaze at the seat of your heart, the seat of your soul. With each inhalation, lengthen the spine, lengthen the torso. Maintain that length with each exhalation, widen, broaden. Or as Anne likes to say, on the inhalation, extend the torso, and on the exhalation, expand. And let's chant the syllable Om 3 times together. Exhaling completely. Deep inhalation. Om. Om. Lifting your sternum towards the ceiling, lower your chin towards your heart. Release your hands onto your thighs with your palms up. With your eyes closed, raise your head. From the back of your head, gently let your eyelids open. Straighten your legs. So you can stay up on your lift if you want. If you'd rather be on the floor for Tadasana, you can come onto the floor. That's fine. Whatever works for you today. If you're up on a lift, you want your sit bones on the lift, but your thighs off of the lift, fingertips by your hips. If you're on the floor, then you take your hands flat by your hips. Feet together, heels together, toes straight up at the ceiling, little toe moves back towards you. Press the thigh bone down. The thigh bone and the leg presses down. Lengthen the inner leg. So from the upper inner thigh, extend through the knee, through the heel. There's also a slight extending through the balls of the big toes as well. So heels together, balls of the toes together. You don't want your legs to turn out because then that turns your thighs out and then your knees are pointing to the sides. So you want your kneecaps to point straight up, toes straight up. So as you lengthen from the inner thigh through the inner knee, through the inner heel, there's also the drawing back from the upper inner thigh towards the abdomen. So the top of the thigh lengthens out in both directions. The flesh of the inner thighs descends and draw from the outer knees to the outer hips, compact the hips together. Again, there's the compacting of the hips together as we lengthen the inner thighs. See that you're not scooping in the lower back. So you have to take your front bottom ribs towards the back body. The abdomen does move towards the spine, and that helps support the lower back. Now maintaining that work of the legs, you can push gently into the floor, lifting up through your side ribs. Move your shoulders away from your ears and find length in your side ribs. I'm not concerned if the elbows get straight, especially if you're on the floor. The elbows don't need to be straight. More important that your shoulders are down, because for some of us, when we straighten the arms, the shoulders will come up because we haven't created that extension in the side ribs. So the goal is not straight arms. The goal is extension in the side ribs, which is really extension in the spine itself. But we can sense the side ribs more than we can sense the spine. So that's why sometimes we will direct actions of the spine by talking about the side ribs. Shoulders down. Notice if you're pushing your front bottom ribs forward, take your front bottom ribs back. The shoulder blades can come forward, but the front bottom ribs go back. Soften your jaw, face, lips, tongue, chin parallel to the floor. Are you still pressing your thighs down? Separate your legs. And again, you can choose. You can stay on your lift. For some in this pose, it's easier to be on the floor. You can choose. It's your body. You can try both out and decide what you like better. Some days I take a lift, some days I don't. Every day does not have to be the same. We get stuck in these ruts thinking we need to do everything the same every day. We don't. Make sure your kneecaps and toes are pointing up now. So for most of us, that means the thighs have to turn in slightly. Fingertips still by your hips. Press your thigh bones down. And don't just jam the knee down. Don't push the, I'm not saying push the shin bone down or the knee. Bring your awareness to the top of your legs, press the thigh bones down. Eventually, it's really the whole thigh. You want to get to the mid thigh. But if you're still pushing in your knees, then you can think the tops of the thighs. You want to picture the femur bones moving towards the back of the leg. There's the same lengthening of the inner thighs, from the inner thighs through the inner knee, through the inner heel, pushing through the balls of the big toes, from the upper inner thighs, drawing back. The flesh of the inner thighs descend. Draw from the outer knees to the outer hips, compact the hips together. As you compact the hips together, keep that extension of the inner legs. Lift up through the side ribs now. That's for you, Kathy. So yeah, listen. Occasionally I remember. I always listen. Sometimes I remember. So lift up through the side ribs again. Can you find the evenness on the two sides? And then stacking the vertebrae one by one on top of each other. Front bottom ribs back, shoulder blades in. Now take your left hand inside your legs, take your right hand behind you, lift up through the side ribs, inhale, exhale, turn towards your right leg. And don't just turn your head. So don't swing your, actually look straight ahead. Look straight ahead, but turn your torso. Turn your torso, wrap the ribs around so your belly button begins to turn towards that leg. If you turn the head too fast, the spine doesn't do the work. You want to get the turn in the spine. Shoulders down. Inhale, on your exhalation, come to center. Eyes down, extend through the inner legs, draw from the outer knees to the outer hips. Other side, right foot between your legs, left hand behind you. Lift up first, push down with your hands, inhale, lift up, look straight ahead, inhale, exhale, wrap your ribs around to turn your torso towards your left leg. Don't let that right thigh fall out as you turn towards the left. So it's still lengthening through both inner thighs, still drawing from both outer knees to outer hips. Legs, both legs stay very active. Shoulders down. George, if you take that back hand closer to you, you'll get a little bit more lift. That's it. Kathy, you're beginning to sink in one of your sides, in your right side. So maintain that lift. Both sides equal in length. Inhale, exhale, come to center. Eyes down, extend through the inner legs, draw from the outer knees to the outer hips. Take hold of the inside of the knees, lift your legs straight up. Your feet will come together, Baddha Konasana. And again, do you want to lift here or not? Don't just do what you did in the last pose, but choose what you want for this pose. Fingertips by your hips, or if you want, if you're on the floor, you can take your hands underneath your feet, that's fine. You can also, if you'd like, you can take a strap also works too, underneath your feet. So you can do that one, that's fine. Press your heels. Lengthen through the inner thighs. Both directions. So from the inner thighs out through the inner knees, but from the upper inner thighs back towards your abdomen. When you do that drawing back, the knees begin to move away from each other more. And that's what we're looking for, is to spread the knees away from each other. Not just getting them down, remember, but moving them away from each other. George, try and bring your shoulder blades in to lift the chest. Draw from your outer knees to outer hips, compact the hips together. As you compact the hips together, please remember that opening of the inner thighs that we're looking for, or the inner groins, really. Front bottom ribs moving towards the back body. And again, push into the floor, lengthening through the side ribs. Bring the shoulder blades forward, but the front bottom ribs back. And that allows for more length through the side ribs. When we thrust the front ribs forward, it hardens the diaphragm and actually shortens the sides of the body. You should try and do these sitting poses every day. You can even do them watching TV. You can do them with any sitting activity you're doing. You can do these poses. Take your hands on the outside of your knees. Push your legs together. Hold behind one knee. There are two strands there. Take one in each hand. Draw the flesh towards the buttock. Drag the heel. Straighten the leg. Other leg. Draw the flesh towards the buttock. Drag the heel. Straighten the leg. Fingertips by your hips, or if you're on the floor, flat hands by your hips. Dandasana. And even though we've been here before today, the experience is different. Even just doing those couple poses in between. Press the thighs down, lengthen through the inner legs, draw from the outer knees to the outer hips. Lifting up through the side ribs, roll the shoulders down. Watch those front ribs pushing forward. And release. Come onto your hands and knees. If you're using a chair or blocks for downward facing dog, feel free to use your chair or blocks. Take your shoulders over your wrists, knees slightly behind your hips. Your forearms turn in here as you press through the balls of the first finger and thumbs. But as you press through the balls of the first finger and thumbs, roll your upper arms out. Don't fall into the outer hand. So the forearm is rotating in as the upper arm rotates out. Push into the hand to lengthen through the inner arms. Turn your toes under, straighten your legs. So like we were working the other day, immediately get the legs. So even before you fully go back into downward facing dog, press the thighs back. Lengthen the inner thighs, draw from the outer knees to the outer hips. Then inhale, and on your exhalation, come into downward facing dog, keeping as much of that as you can. And of course, not all of it stays. So keep now pressing the thighs back, or get it back. Press the thighs back, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Press the thighs back. Lengthen from the inner knees all the way up through the inner groins. Lift from the outer knees to the outer hips. And seek your heels not just down, but the heels go towards the wall behind you. Move your heels towards the wall behind you. As you do, they may go down. And as the outer heels go down, lift from the outer knees to the outer hips. Of course, as you press those thighs back, we're lengthening through the inner arms, through the armpits, through the side ribs. Let your head go, please. The head dangles like a mango. And for those who haven't heard that before, I did not make it up. I promise you. Straight from my teacher to your ears. Roll those upper arms out, shoulders away from your ears. And then look up, walk your feet forward, and come into a forward bend. Uttanasana, hold your elbows. Take your upper arms in line with your ears as you hold your elbows. That helps lengthen the side ribs. So upper arms in line with your ears. Hips over your heels. If your legs aren't straight, of course, take them further apart. Not concerned how close together your feet or your legs are. Toes forward though, toes straight. Lift from the outer knees to the outer hips. Lengthen from the inner knees through the inner groins. Of course, the thighs themselves, the thigh bone moving back. Don't just press your knee or shin bone back. There is an opening in the back of the knee. The knees do go back, but we don't just want to jam the knee back. We need to create the space first. So press the thigh bones back. And then you can open the eyes of the knees. The eye of the knee is the back of the knee. And we do that by opening the eyelids of the knees. So that means the eyelids at the top of the calf is the bottom eyelid, and the bottom of the hamstring is the top eyelid. And imagine they are opening, that the top of the calf and the bottom of the hamstring are moving away from each other, opening the eyes of the knees. When you do that, there's a lengthening, and then if the knee goes back, the knee goes back. But the first action has to be the thighs going back. Then opening the eyes of the knees, and then allowing the knee to go back into whatever space is there, and not just a jamming of the shin bone. Let your arms go, hands on the floor, walk your feet back, downward facing dog. So immediately press the thighs back. Now, allow the forearms to rotate in. Press through the ball of the first finger and thumb. Rotate your upper arms out. Lengthen through the inner arms, the armpits, and side ribs. And again, we're looking for an evenness on the two sides of your body with the side ribs. Let your head go. Now press the thighs back. Lengthen through the inner groins. Lift from the outer knees to the outer hips. Now, as you press your thighs back, again, you can open the eyes of the knees. Don't just jam the knees back, but as you press the thighs back, open the eyes of the knees. So the tops of the calves go down, the bottom of the hamstrings go up. The hamstrings lift up into your buttocks. And then the knees can go back into that space. If there is space, if space was created today, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. And then as you press the heels back, the outer heels go down, the outer hips come up. Soft face, soft jaw, smooth breath. Look up, walk your feet forward, hold your elbows the opposite way you did the first time. Hips over your heels. Upper arms in line with your ears. So get the legs again, thighs back. Lengthen through the inner thighs, lift from the outer knees to the outer hips. Compact the hips together. As you press the thighs back, open the eyes of the knees. Now, most of us end up leaning a little further back in this pose so that the hips are behind the heels. So I want everyone to take your hips slightly forward. The heels will become a little lighter. The weight may come onto the balls of the toes. Try not to grip the toes, but see if you can get your hips over your heels. Now, keeping your hips over your heels, press the thighs back and press your center heels down. But don't let the hips come back as you press the center heel down. And some of you will feel that adjustment all the way up into your torso. Let your arms go. Sweep your arms back. Extend your chest forward. So the thighs are still going back. Your torso is parallel to the floor, hands slightly above your hips. Thighs back, arms back, chest forward, and then slowly inhale and come up. And then turn to face the front, Tadasana. Feet together, or if you prefer feet hip distance apart, if you want to do hip distance apart, that's fine. But remember, hip distance apart is the hip sockets. So it's not this one with the wide legs, but underneath your hip sockets, or feet together, which means heels together, balls of the toes together. Press the thigh bones back. Even here, as you press the thigh bones back, you can open up the eyes of the knees, so the top of the calf moves down, the bottom of the hamstring moves up. Lift from the outer knees to the outer hips. Lengthen from the inner knees through the inner groins, through the lower abdomen. Front bottom ribs moving towards the back body. The shoulder blades move towards the front body, but don't cause that to push the ribs forward or to do that leaning back. It's still shoulders over the hips. And have space in your armpits as you extend through your arms. Kathy, lengthen through your right side without collapsing your left side. Even more if you can, or just work on that over time. But don't do it from the shoulders. So keep the shoulders down. Focus on that lengthen the hips to the armpits. And I'm not a great model of that because I do the same thing when one side has shortened over time with the injuries, etc. And take, Kathy, your right shoulder forward. Yeah. You're overdoing your because of the collapsing, you're overdoing your shoulder to make it feel something. You want the shoulders to be even so that you can work on the side ribs. Many of us, I find it overdo it in the shoulders. Extend through the arms. Fingertips are a part of the pose. And there's a lot of work going on in this pose. It's Tadasana, but see if you can find not a hardening. There is work, but can you find a peacefulness within the work as opposed to just a hardening within the work? Take your arms out to the sides. Drop the shoulders. Hold your arms up from your armpits. So still focus on that right side, Kathy, through all this. From your armpits, rotate your arms up. And you go as far as you can with your armpits, then you can't go anymore, and then turn your wrists or your palms face up. And then you notice that your front bottom ribs moved forward. So take your front bottom ribs towards the back body. And then from your armpits, push your arms up. I don't care how close the hands get together. Shoulders down, front bottom ribs back. And as you balance evenly on the feet, lifting from the outer knees to the outer hips, continue lengthening through the side ribs, open those armpits, and extend through the arms. Try not to lean the shoulders back. Shoulders stay over your hips. Chin parallel to the floor. Turn your hands out to the sides. Exhale, come down. Interlace your fingers together. Turn your palms out. Push the webbing of your fingers together. Now notice again, as soon as you push your arms out, for most of us, the thighs thrust forward and the ribs thrust forward. So take the thighs back, take the ribs into the body, and keep the shoulders over the hips. Notice if you've taken your shoulders back. And then as you push the webbing of your fingers together, inhale, take your arms up. Shoulders down as the arms go up. Extend your wrist towards the ceiling. Not your thumbs towards the ceiling, the wrist towards the ceiling. Shoulders down, ribs in. Watch the right side, Kathy. But so over time, because you started off, well, better, right? And then over time, it's like, and I get it, because I got the same thing. So it's just the awareness. Bring your arms out to the sides. Exhale, come down. Interlace your fingers the opposite way. Take the opposite first finger on top. Turn the palms out. And the thighs have to go back again. The ribs have to go back again. Push the webbing of your fingers together as you inhale, come up. Shoulders down, wrists up. Ribs back, ribs back. Shoulder blades come forward, but the ribs go back. Kathy, take your left hip, that move your left hip, squeeze it towards your right hip. It's the hips. It might be the hips versus this. Something to look at. Because now it's much closer to even. Bring your hands out to the sides. Exhale, come down. Tadasana. Lift up to the side ribs, shoulders down. So that's one of the things, Kathy, as Kathy is also learning to be a teacher, as we look at people, seeing where the problem may stem from, it might not be where we're looking at, it might come from somewhere else. So it's just training the eyes to look at the whole body, which takes some time, but plant that seed. Virabhadrasana 2, warrior pose 2. Fingertips up, bend your legs, jump or step your feet apart. Drop your shoulders. It's a wide stance. Take your feet below your hands as your arms are extended. Lift from your outer knees to outer hips. Start the pose here. Don't wait till we turn. Start it here. Lift up through the side ribs. Turn your left foot in, turn your right leg out. Take your front heel in line with your back arch. Make sure your front heel is in line with your back arch. Press into the outer rim of the back heel. Turn the front thigh from the inside out so your knee is in line with the top of your foot, and lift from your outer knees to your outer hips. Now reach with your back arm, your left arm. Inhale as you reach to the left arm. Exhale, bend the front leg, the right leg. Knee over the ankle, thigh parallel to the floor. Do not let your knee go past your ankle. You can take a longer stance if you need. Keep pressing into the back heel. Front knee over the ankle. Lift up through the side ribs, drop the shoulders. Again, bottom ribs back. Shoulder blades can move forward, but the bottom ribs move back. Carla, take your whole torso back towards the part. There you go. Lift the chest, drop the shoulders, gaze over your front fingertips. But imagine you have eyes in the back of your head. Look through those eyes. And then reach with the back arm, straighten the front leg, parallel your feet. Over to the other side, right foot in, left leg out. If you need to take your hands down for a second, then it's your body, not mine. Do what you need to do. Drop the shoulders. Press the back heel, turn the front thigh out. Lift both outer knees to outer hips. Do that before bending the leg. And keep those hips compacting together. As you exhale, reach through the back arm, bend the front leg. But keep drawing from the outer knees to the outer hips the whole time. The knee comes over the ankle, thigh parallel to the floor. The weight is on your front heel, not the balls of the toes. So press into the back heel, keep that knee over your ankle, lift up through your side ribs, and gaze over your front fingertips. Imagine you have eyes in the back of your head. Look through those eyes. Straighten the front leg, parallel your feet, jump or step your feet together. Tadasana, checking in with yourself. Fingertips up, bend your legs, jump or step your feet wide. Take your hands on your hips. We're going to start with hands on hips. Virabhadrasana 2, warrior pose 2, one more time. Left foot in, right leg out. So the first thing to happen as we turn here is this back thigh falls forward and we begin to turn the torso. So I'm going to take the back thigh back and square the torso towards the room. Press into the back heel. The back thigh goes so far back that you can't grip your toes even if you try. Should not be able to grip your toes. Now what happens when you do that is this front thigh turns in. So now you have to turn that front thigh out without letting the back thigh go forward. And then lift from the outer knee to the outer hip. Both. Outer knees to outer hips. Both. Compact the hips. Inhale. Exhale, bend the leg. Keep pressing into the back heel as you bend the leg. So see that the knee comes over the ankle. Now notice if your back thigh fell forward. So the back thigh goes back. The knee tends to come forward too. So take the back thigh and the knee back and allow the right buttock to come forward. There's an opening in this whole pelvic area. The tailbone actually goes forward too to help with that opening in the pelvic area. Now from here, lift up through the side ribs, but don't push the front ribs forward. Elbows back, lift the chest, and then finish with the arms. Extend the arms out. Hold the arms up from your armpits, not your shoulders, and then gaze over your front fingertips. Keep your awareness in the body as you observe your pose. And then straighten the leg, parallel the feet, hands on hips. Right foot in, left leg out. Front heel in line with your back arch. So again, notice what happened. Did your thigh come forward? Did your torso, is your belly button facing, the side or corner of the room, or is it facing the front of the room? So take that back thigh back. Can't even grip those back toes. Press into the outer rim of the back heel, and now the belly button should be facing forward again. But you have to get that front thigh turned out without turning the torso, without taking that back leg forward. So when we start, we do those actions separately. We take the back thigh back, then we turn the front thigh out. Can you begin to spread the awareness in your mind so that the back thigh goes back and the front thigh turns out at the same time? Lift the outer knees to the outer hips, compact the hips together. Inhale, exhale, bend the leg. So just that action, for many of us, that back thigh then falls in. So just do it again. Take the back thigh back, take the front knee back. When I say front knee back, it means over the ankle, not further for those that do have the flexibility. And of course, Paris, Karen, you need to do this according to your body, right? If you have replacement hips, you work this pose differently. Draw the outer knees to the outer hips. The tailbone does come forward. That left buttock comes forward, so there's that opening in the pelvic area. Now lengthen up through the side ribs, front bottom ribs back. Elbows back, lift the chest. Extend the arms, gaze over your front fingertips. Drop the shoulders. Hold your arms up from your armpits, not your shoulders. Observe your pose. Then straighten the leg, parallel your feet, and jump or step your feet together. Tadasana. So take a couple blocks on either side of your mat. Or if at home you only have one block, you can move it to one side or the other, or use any kind of lift that you have. Books, pots. We'll set up for Uttanasana, which starts off in Virabhadrasana 2, and then we come down. So from Tadasana, fingertips up, bend your legs, jump or step your feet apart. Drop your shoulders. Turn your left foot in, turn your right leg out. I'm going to take you out of the pose for a second. Take this block, put it right next to your heel, and then come back up. But again, notice where you are. Has your back thigh come forward? Has your torso turned? Take the back thigh back. Belly button should be facing forward. Don't just take the knee back. Watch the back knee, Carla. From your hip, press into your back heel. And of course, you have to turn the front thigh out. So can you take the back thigh back, turn the front thigh out at the same time? Lift the outer knees to the outer hips. Now with the arms lengthened, inhale, exhale, bend the legs. So here we are, back in Virabhadrasana 2. We were just here. And then inhale, exhale, take the right hand on the block, take your left arm up. Rotate your arm so your palm faces your ear. And then reach up as you press into the back heel, extend your arm overhead. So the back thigh presses back, the right knee is over your ankle. Rotate the torso, You can use a chair if you want, George, if that's more comfortable for you. And extend through that whole left side of your body. And then reach through your arm, pull yourself up and out. Parallel your feet and over to the other side. Right foot in, left leg out. Front heel in line with your back arch. And again, I'm going to take you out of the pose, put the block next to your heel, and then come back up. So that back thigh goes back, helping to turn your torso forward, also helping to press through the outer rim of the back heel. The front thigh turns out at the same time. So can you begin to unite those actions of the back thigh going back and the front thigh turning out. Lift from your outer knees to your outer hips. Compact your hips together. Inhale, exhale, reach through the back arm, bend the front leg. So here we are, Virabhadrasana 2. Inhale, exhale, left hand down on the block, right arm goes up. Reach up, press into the back heel as you extend that arm overhead. The back thigh moving back. The front knee moving back. The front buttock moving forward. Then rotating the torso, extending through that whole right side of the body. Palm faces down. That's good, George. And then reaching through your arm, pull yourself up and out. Parallel your feet and jump or step your feet together. Tadasana. Check in with yourself. Just move the blocks back a little bit so you can separate your feet again without tripping. Blocks can become tripping hazards. You don't want that. So fingertips up, bend your legs, jump or step your feet apart. Utthita Konasana, extended side angle pose, one more time. So turn your left foot in, turn your right leg out. Front heel in line with your back arch. So let's take your hands on your hips for a moment, and let's begin with the same adjustments we were doing before. So the back thigh goes back as the front thigh turns out. Can you begin to unite those? It helps to take the tailbone forward. Lift from your outer knees to your outer hips, compact the hips together. Now extend the arm, but keep that awareness of the legs. Inhale, exhale, bend the leg, Virabhadrasana 2. Inhale, exhale, hand down, take that block, hand on the block or chair, move that block next to your heel. And then for a moment, take that left hand on your hip. And let's work the legs again. So the back thigh goes back. Press the back heel. The right knee stays over your right angle, not further back, but just over your right ankle. And then the right buttock comes forward. So left thigh back, right knee back, right buttock forward. Take your tailbone forward. And again, there's that opening in the whole pelvic area. Now rotate the torso. Imagine you're leaning against the wall, lean against that wall, the head is back. And then finish the pose. Extend the arm up, rotate the arm, press the back heel as you extend that arm overhead. But again, keep that back thigh going back. Keep that opening in the pelvic area so the tailbone goes forward. Don't let the knee come forward, knee back as well. Knee over the ankle. And then extending through that arm, pull yourself up and out. We'll go parallel your feet, then go right over to the other side, right foot in, left leg out, front heel in line with your back arch. Let's take hands on hips for a moment. So that back thigh goes back, not just the knee, not just the shin, but the thigh. If you press the knee back, you get the back heel. But the problem is, well, one, you hurt the knee, but the torso doesn't turn. So press the thigh back, that takes the torso with it. Press the back heel. Of course, turn the front thigh out at the same time. Can you unite those actions? Take the tailbone forward, and yes, lift the outer knees to the outer hips, compact the hips. Now extend the arms, inhale, exhale, bend the front leg, Virabhadrasana 2, inhale, exhale, left hand on the block, take the block next to your heel. The arm goes up, but then take it onto your hips so that we can work the legs a little bit more. Press the back thigh back. And it still takes the torso back. As you take that thigh back, the ribs go with it. The torso begins to turn. The knee, however, may follow the front knee. So as you take the back thigh back, take the front knee back. And then take the front buttock forward. And the tailbone also goes forward. Open that pelvic area. Now maintain that action of the legs. There is the drawing from the outer knees to the outer hips. Rotate the torso, head back, and finish the pose. Extend the right arm up, rotate it so your palm faces your ear. Press into the back heel as you extend your arm over your ear. Extend through that whole right side of the body. Watch pressing that back knee back. It's the thigh that goes back. Back thigh, front knee. And then reach for that arm, pull yourself up and out. Parallel your feet. Jump or step your feet together. Take the blocks off of your mat. Turn to face the side of the mat. Come towards the front or the side, any side you want. Arms forward, arms up. Hold your elbows. Inhale, come up. Exhale, come down. Uttanasana, forward bend. Let your skull release. And let your arms go. Plant your hands on the floor. Walk your feet back, downward facing dog. So immediately, thighs back. Press through the inner hand, the balls of the first finger and thumb as you rotate the upper arms out. As you press the thighs back, lengthen through the inner arms, armpits, and side ribs. Press the thighs back, lengthen the inner thighs. Open the eyes of the knees. Lift from the outer knees to the outer hips. Moving your heels back, not just down, but back. And you also, if you can see your heels, you want to move them away from each other. Your heels are hidden behind your toes. Right? So what does that do? It turns the thighs in as you do that. Let the skull release. Look up, walk your feet forward. Sweep your arms back, extend your chest forward. Inhale, come up. And Tadasana, you can turn forward. All right, one more for the standing poses. Virabhadrasana 1, warrior pose 1. Fingertips up, then your legs, jump or step your feet apart. Drop your shoulders. We'll start with hands on hips. Turn your left foot in, turn your right leg out. Pick up your back heel and take that left hip forward, and then place that left heel down. So your torso is facing the side of the room. Still draw from the outer knees to the outer hips, compact the hips. So there's the lengthening of the inner leg, and the drawing from the outer knees to the outer hips, compact your hips. That's all there. Notice also how your front bottom ribs tend to push forward. Take your front bottom ribs towards the back body so that you can really lengthen through the side ribs. Now keep pressing the back heel. Inhale, exhale, bend the front leg. Bend the front leg. If it's easier for you to turn around, Brent, you can. So you can see me. That's fine. Usually I walk around the room so everyone can see me, but we can't do that. But here again, it's knee over the ankle. Knee over the ankle, thigh parallel to the floor. Take the back leg hip forward. Take the back leg hip forward. Now draw your abdomen into the spine. Lift the abdomen up into your chest. And then take your arms forward and your arms up. Virabhadrasana 1. Keep pressing into the back heel. And then straighten that front leg. Parallel your feet. Arms out to the side. Hands on hips. Then the other way. Left foot in. Right foot in. Left leg out. So your choice. If you want to just switch legs going the other way, there you go. Back thigh back, press the back heel. Actually, I'm sorry. Lift up the back heel and turn. Square those hips to the side of the room. Press the back heel down. Turn the front thigh out. Lift both outer knees to outer hips. Lengthen the inner thighs. Lift the outer knees to the outer hips. Compact the hips together. And even here, the tailbone does draw in, just like we were doing in Virabhadrasana 2. Uttanasana. Elbows back, lift the chest. Now, ribs in. Don't thrust the ribs forward. Ribs back. Abdomen in. Inhale. Exhale, bend the front leg. Knee over the ankle, thigh parallel to the floor. As soon as we do that, that hip goes back. So take that hip forward. The weight again is on the front heel, not the balls of the toes. Draw the outer knees to the outer hips, compact the hips together. Draw the front bottom ribs towards the back body, abdomen towards the spine, and then lift your abdomen up towards your chest. Then extend your arms forward, arms up. Shoulder blades down as the arms go up. And reach through the arms, straighten the front leg. Parallel the feet, arms out to the sides. Jump or step your feet together. Tadasana. Check in with yourself. Take the hip in. Lift the outer knee to the outer hip. But don't just do it by moving the hip. Use the muscle. Lift the muscle up and then squeeze the hip in. All right, fingertips up. Then your legs, jump or step your feet apart. Hands on hips. Left foot and right leg out. You choose which way you want to turn. If you want to face me, that's fine. Lift up the back heel, take that hip forward, press the back heel down. Lengthen the groins, lift the outer knees to the outer hips. Start here with the front ribs going back, the tailbone going forward. But keep lifting from the outer knees to the outer hips and compacting the hips together. That's going to give you the stability. That's what's supporting the torso. Inhale, exhale, bend the front leg. Knee over the ankle, thigh parallel to the floor. So now bring that opposite hip forward. Ribs forward so your torso is squared. Lengthen the groins, the inner thighs. Draw from the outer knees to the outer hips. Compact the outer hips together. The more you can work the legs here, the more effect you'll experience in your torso. So take your front and the tailbone also, tailbone forward. Now front ribs back, abdomen towards the spine, then lift the abdomen up into your chest. The shoulder blades lift the chest. And extend your arms forward, arms up. Drop the buttock down as the arms go up. So as the arms go up, the buttock goes down. Drop your buttock down an inch more and lift the arms an inch more. Shoulders down. Arms are up, but the shoulders are down. That looks really nice, Kathy. And then reach the arms, straighten the leg, parallel your feet, arms out to the sides, hands on hips. Left foot in, right leg out. Pick up the back heel. Take that hip forward. Yeah, just switch sides. So square your hips, square your torso to the side of the room. Lengthen the groins, lift from your outer knees to outer hips. Begin the tailbone moving forward, front bottom ribs moving back. Right? It's all these opposite actions that take us deeper to the center of the body. Ribs in, abdomen in, inhale, exhale, bend the front leg. Knee over the ankle, thigh parallel to the floor. So take that opposite hip forward. So the hips again, hips squared, ribs squared. Lengthen the groins. Draw from the outer knees to the outer hips, compact the hips together. Front bottom ribs back. Shoulder blades in. Draw the abdomen into the spine. Lift the abdomen up towards your chest and then take the arms forward, arms up. The buttock goes down as the arms go up. Let's take the buttock down an inch. Reach the arms up an inch. Observe your pose. Then reach to the arms, straighten the leg. Parallel your feet, arms out to the sides. Jump or step your feet together. Come towards the front of your mat. Separate your feet. Arms forward, arms up. Hold your elbows. I don't care which way you face. Inhale, come up. Exhale, come down. And let your arms go, hands on the floor. Walk your feet back, downward facing dog. Thighs back. Thighs back. Lengthen the inner groins, lift from the outer knees to the outer hips. Move the heels back. Remember, heels hidden behind your toes. Let the skull release. Look up, walk your feet forward. Sweep your arms back, extend your heart forward. Inhale, come all the way up. Take your feet together, Tadasana. All right, everybody lie back on your mat. Actually, watch for a second so you know what we're doing. Lie back on your mat. You're going to take your hold of the sides of the mat so you can roll your upper arms out and roll your shoulders down. Take your feet comfortably close to your hips. I don't want this to hurt your knees. Is Joan here today? Joan, be careful for your knees. You can take your heels on blocks and it may help. So what you're going to do is you're going to push into your heels and you're going to lift your buttocks up. You're still going to lengthen the inner thighs, draw from the outer knees to the outer hips. Press your outer shoulders down. So here's the thing, everybody listen. When you do that, I don't want the seventh cervical pushing into the floor, okay? That's the big bone in the back of your neck. In order to stop that from pushing into the floor, you must press your outer shoulders down so that you get that lifting there, okay? Any questions, anybody here or at home? All right, let's do it. So take hold of the outside of the mat and roll your upper arms out so your shoulders are down. Your seventh cervical should be lifted. Take your hands your heels comfortably close to your buttocks. You can be hip distance apart, and then begin to lift the buttocks up. Press your outer shoulders down, press the heels down, and lift your buttocks up. Now there's the lengthening of the inner groin. So from the knee to the lower abdomen, lengthen. Draw from your outer knees to your outer hips, compact your hips together. Now listen, for many, those front bottom ribs are pushing forward. Take the front bottom ribs into the body, towards the back body. Take the shoulder blades towards the front body. Soften your throat. Soften your throat. And then come down. Come down one vertebrae at a time. Take your sit bones towards your heels. And then watch. So here's what happens. Make sure you're watching me. So you roll your upper arms out. Now first, feet hip distance apart. You don't have to have your feet together here. Take your feet hip distance apart. So we begin to come up. A couple things happen. One is the knees begin to come away. So seek to keep your knees directly in line with your hips. And then we end up stopping at about here. So when you stop is when you want to begin to see what more your body will allow. And you do that, yes, by lifting your hips, but also by drawing from your outer knees to your outer hips. Do you see that? Do you see how the chest is beginning to open here? That came from drawing my outer knees to my outer hips and actually moving my hips, not just up, yes, up, but back. So my body just came up to here. So I don't want you to stay here. I want you to lift your hips, but more draw your outer knees to your outer hips. Now my shoulders actually can go down more. My shoulder blades are moving into the body. Now, one other thing is happening here. My ribs are sticking forward, so my diaphragm is now hardened. So as I do that, I have to renegotiate my ribs, draw them into the body, which coincidentally softened my throat. And then you'll come down. All right, clear? Let's try it one more time. Lie back. Hold the outside of the mat, roll your shoulders under. Press into your outer shoulders, lift your seventh cervical off of the mat. And then press into your heels and lift up. And notice where the body begins to stop. And then see, the tailbone comes in too. Do take the tailbone in. If your lower back is bothering you, it's top of the buttocks towards your knees. But now draw your outer knees to your outer hips. Allow the hips to move up. Allow the hips to move towards you and allow for that opening in the chest. The shoulder blades do go in. Now, if you're like me, you may have hardened your front bottom ribs. So take your front bottom ribs towards the back body so that the shoulder blades can come into the front body. Soft throat. Don't let the knees come apart. That's it, Kathy. Good. Lengthen the inner groins from the inner knees to the lower abdomen. Draw from the outer knees to the outer hips. Press those outer shoulders down. Come down from the top of the spine to the base of the spine. Sit bones towards your heels. Just because I'm having such a good time, we're going to do it one more time. So adjust your feet if you need to. Remember, knees in line with your hips. Roll your upper arms out. If you can do it holding the sides of the mat. If you know how to do this holding your ankles, if you've done it holding your ankles or underneath your feet, if you know that version, you're welcome to do that. But roll your upper arms out, press your outer shoulders down. Now press into your heels to lift your buttocks up. And then notice where it stops on its own. Don't let the knees move away from each other. So the thighs still turn in, lengthen the inner groins from the inner knees to the lower abdomen. Now draw the outer knees to the outer hips. The hips do come up, but the hips move towards your shoulders. Let the hips move towards your shoulders. Take the front bottom ribs towards the back body. Watch the knees. Front bottom ribs towards the back body. Shoulder blades into the body. Soft throat. Soft eyes. Outer knees to outer hips, and see where that takes you. Find an optimal place. Coming out, come down one vertebrae at a time. Sit bones towards your heels. Take a couple of breaths. Roll to the side, turn over, downward facing dog. Coming onto your hands and knees. Forearms rotating in, upper arms rotating out. Push into the floor, toes under. Lengthen the inner groins, outer knees to outer hips. Inhale, exhale, downward facing dog. Last one of the day. Press your thighs back. Open the eyes of the knees. Lengthen the inner groins. Lift from the outer knees to the outer hips. This is the last time we're doing this today. How is it different than the first time you did it today? What's different? What's changed? What memory, what new memory is there in the body? And then bend your legs, come down, child's pose. Touch your knees to the floor, precisely the same moment, and then take your feet together, knees apart, sit bones on your heels, extend your arms forward, rest your head. Rest your skull. Take your hands underneath your shoulders, push to come up. Lie back on your mat. Take your arms out to the sides, and your legs into your chest. Yeah, if you need to move away from the wall, Kathy, or however you need to turn, it's fine. Keep your thighs together. Inhale. On your exhalation, knees towards your right elbow. Turning. Turn your abdomen to the left as your knees go to the right. Keep those thighs together. That means the bottom leg needs to press into the top leg. Turn your abdomen to the left as your knees go to the right. And press your right shoulder down to keep your left shoulder down. Soft jaw, soft lips, soft tongue. Press into your lower leg. Inhale, come up. Take your feet on the floor. Square your hips and square your shoulders. Bend your legs back into your chest. Inhale. On your exhalation, take your knees towards your left elbow. Keep the thighs together. That means the bottom leg pushes into the top leg. Turn your abdomen to the right as your knees go to the left. Press your left shoulder down to keep your right shoulder down. Soft jaw, soft lips, soft tongue, soft throat. Push with your bottom leg. Inhale, come up to center. Take your feet on the floor. Square your hips and square your shoulders. Bend your legs back into your chest. Give yourself a hug, either around your shins or behind your knees. Soften your shoulders, soften your abdomen. This is a perfect opportunity to say something kind to yourself, say something loving to yourself. Remembering that the purpose of yoga is to still the fluctuations of the mind so that you can bathe in your own true splendor. Can you take a moment here now to bathe in your own true splendor? And take your hands on the face of your knees. On your inhalation, allow your thighs to move away from you, hands still on your knees. On your exhalation, draw your thighs towards you. So a few breaths like this just to massage the abdomen and to massage the lower back. Inhaling, legs move away. Exhaling, legs move towards you, the pace of your breath. And on your next inhalation, take your feet to the floor. Straighten your legs one at a time. Let your legs fall away from each other. Find a comfortable place for your arms, perhaps at about 30-degree angle to your body. Whatever is comfortable for you. And let go. Let go. Soft hands. If it's comfortable, palms up. If that's uncomfortable, whatever is comfortable. Let your fingers come to a natural curl. Let your feet come to a natural place. Work is over. Work is over. Let the arms and the legs flow away from your torso like four streams flowing away from the source. The torso is the source. Legs, arms are the streams. Let your arms and legs flow away from your torso. Let your whole body surrender. Let your whole body surrender to the Mother Earth below you. Let her hold you so you no longer need to hold yourself. All of your facial features letting go. Release, relax your forehead. Release, relax your eyebrows. Rest your eyes into your cheekbones as you release, relax your eyelids. Release, relax your nose and your cheekbones. Release, relax your cheeks, the outer cheeks, also the inside of your cheeks, the inside of your mouth. Release, relax your lips and your jaw. Release, relax your tongue and your throat. Let go everything. Hold nothing. Allow the breath to breathe you. You do not need to breathe. Allow the breath to breathe you and become a witness for the breath. Shavasana. To begin slowly coming out of your Shavasana, take a soft, smooth, peaceful inhalation and a longer, smooth, peaceful exhalation. Wiggle your toes, wiggle your nose. Bend your legs, place your feet on the floor with your knees together, feet apart. Knees together, feet apart. Take your hands, place them onto your abdomen or onto your chest. Let the healing energy of your hands penetrate your body, pierce through your layers, and heal. Whatever it is you may need healing with today. Healing can be physical, healing can be emotional. When you feel ready, extend your right arm past your right ear, roll to the right side. If you want to roll to the left, of course, that's fine. Be on your side for just a moment. And whenever you feel ready, place the top hand on the floor in front of your heart. Turn your torso towards the floor first. Push to come up, chest first, head last. Come up to sitting. Cross your legs the opposite way you did from the beginning of class. Bring your palms together. Draw your eyes back and down as you gently turn the corners of your lips up. Taking a moment to observe your practice. What's different? What's changed? And remember to take your practice outside of this room, into the rest of your day, into all of your interactions with other people, with kindness and with compassion. Kindness and compassion for others. Most importantly, kindness and compassion for yourself. Let's close our practice together by chanting one collective Om. Deep inhalation. Om. And then let your eyes open. Big smile. Namaste. Bow to the divine within you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody here. Thank you, everybody at home. Some around the world. If you have any questions, of course, let me know.
Thank you, Jonathan. Wonderful. Always.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Great.
Thank
Thank
Jonathan.
you. Thank you guys so much.
We love you.
Mm.